How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the first official stream. Not even welcome back, I mean welcome, because this is the first official one. So there wasn't a predecessor. But who needs FPL when we have all this sporting action today? Am I right? Congratulations if you are a Novak Djokovic fan. I see Senegal are also up 1-0 in extra time. And unfortunately, I honestly thought England were going to win the cricket. I was watching the tennis, and then I saw they needed 3 off 2. But I see it's gone to a super over now. So I apologize if you guys want to go watch that. I'll actually give you some time. I'm following it on the internet here, so I won't talk about too much stuff of importance. So if you guys do want to go watch that, you can go, and then I'll just probably talk about the important stuff after you guys come back. Can you please stop spamming the chat, Giovanni Mazzoni? I'm only joking, and it's a pleasure. But yeah, so I think England are 15. They got 15 off their super over. So New Zealand are probably going to have to do some work there. I said from the beginning, though, if they didn't get Ben Stokes out, that they were going to struggle, because he always comes back to bite teams if they don't catch him early on. So I'm sure there's probably quite a few more England fans than New Zealand fans in my chat. So, Davey, my weekend has been good. Cameron Walker, thanks a lot. How's yours been? Okay, so yeah, sorry, I'm just probably scroll down here. So this was the same draft from the video that I made, the updated draft. I'm kind of the type of person I make the draft and then I tinker a little bit, but I keep the draft the same as the video because I don't really want to mix it up. Yeah, it's been a great weekend of sport. Honestly, I can't remember a Sunday that's been so jam-packed with everything. As Alex Summerson says there, also the Grand Prix. So if you're a Lewis Hamilton fan, congratulations to you. I'll probably be following a couple of the events that haven't ended yet. The main one being Senegal versus Tunisia. Senegal currently 1-0 up in the 110th minute over there. So that basically means that Sadio Mane probably won't return for quite a while. But as I said in I think on Twitter and over on a video, that's not going to impact that much. We've got the Community Shield to kind of analyze, so we can always see when Sadio Mane gets back. I think a better view for you guys probably will be my team. So in the video I spoke about this team. If you have not checked it out, I recommend going and watching it. I think it's a pretty good draft to go by. How's it, Lunatic? Nice to see you in the chat again. If you don't know Lunatic, he was my first donation, so thanks a lot for that. So basically with this draft, I can kind of see a couple of players staying in my team. Mainly if Pope is nailed, then I think I'm going to be going with him. I just think that Burnley are a good defensive option. I see there's been a lot of love recently over on Twitter for Pope, so that's nice to see. But that obviously all is impacted if Heaton stays. Because if Heaton stays, then I reckon I won't probably go for one of the Burnley options because I think they're just going to be rotating. Would you go for Coutinho if you return to Pool? I don't know if I would want Coutinho back, but if he does come back, it's an interesting option, but I kind of feel like if you willing to go Coutinho, you probably should be looking at players like Origi and all of them. Because if you want to go, if you want to defer from the Salah and Mane norm, then you pretty much should be looking at the options already. And currently, no one is looking at the other alternative Liverpool options, basically. So if Coutinho came back, I think it would be good for FPL. It could provide another outlet for those assists and goals. But I don't know if I would be opting for him that much. Tempted to get Vardy. Yeah, I am, Brandon. It's basically, if I was to go for a premium option, I'd probably go for him. The thing that's a little bit annoying about the other ones is that Kane, he has a pretty good first fixture, but then afterwards he doesn't have the best. So I think what's going to happen is here, I think that Harry Kane is going to score in the first fixture, but then I feel like the casual players are going to be bringing him in by the masses, and then we're going to have this massive rise in price, and then us more advanced players are going to not want to be bringing him in because of that Man City game, and then we're going to just be overpriced with him or something like that. So I don't know if I'd be going for Kane right now. I think that if I was to go for a more expensive player, it probably would be Vardy. But with those drafts, they're a lot different to these ones. It would probably mean dropping Maddison because I don't want to double up on that Liverpool attack. I mean, that Leicester attack, sorry. So I'd probably downgrade Maddison to a cheaper option and then upgrade probably King. Because I'm really looking at Wilson out of the two Bournemouth players. I spoke about it in my comparison video, but he basically comes out on top every single time with any stat you compare them to. But yes, there has been this transfer talk about Maguire and then Dunk going to Leicester. Okay, apparently there's been a penalty for Tunisia. So that is some breaking news there. Thanks a lot, FSD92. So we'll see if they score about that. What about Jota? I just think that the Wolves fixtures are a little bit tough. I probably would be bringing them in later on in the season. I think that will also give us some time because, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the whole Wolves Diego Costa saga. Apparently he's signed personal... he's signed his own terms with them, and now it's just to see if they sign a transfer fee. I mean, there's been some crazy stories out here with Higuain going back to the Premier League with West Ham and everything. So this is just the start of this whole transfer season. But to get back to the whole Maguire story, apparently Manchester United have agreed a £80 million or euro transfer fee for him. So that'll be quite interesting to see. Obviously, I think it probably makes Wan-Bissaka a little bit more attractive for me, because they're both the same price, and I think you're always going to be going for the fullback in that situation. But coming in at 5.5, not too bad. I do think, though, that the probably the better option there is if the whole Duffy or Dunk going to Leicester. That could be an interesting one, as they are quite cheaper. And I think the Leicester, it's kind of a toss-up, in my opinion, between the Leicester defense and the Man United defense. I just think that, if they do make the signing, everyone's going to be kind of jumping on it, as because Manchester United have a lot of support. So then we can kind of see what people are going to be going for. But I think a lot of people would probably be opting for that Man United defense. And if you're not going for Maguire in the first place, when he was at Leicester, I don't really know why you would go for him at Man United. Maybe better fixtures. Maybe that's probably a good point to raise there. But other than that, I don't really think there are that many attractive things. Okay, so it looks like I think New Zealand have got 3 runs. So I'll keep track of that and kind of update you guys if you are not kind of looking at the cricket. I know a lot of you are probably football fans, so maybe cricket's not your walk in the park. England bottle jobs. I don't really know what I was. I didn't really follow the game that much, to be honest. I thought that England would win the final, so we can see if they maybe go for that. Which formation am I playing? It currently will probably be a 4-4-2. Just mainly from the point as I kind of alluded to the fact that I'm going to double up on the Everton defense. I just thought that they were a little bit had a little bit of nice fixtures at the start, so that could probably do well. Siggy, I want to say nailed, but I don't know. I could probably easily switch him for Richarlison. I do see myself going for one of the Everton attackers though, so an Everton attacker will probably be nailed in my squad. Let's put it that way. But as some people are saying that Richarlison Pretty much starts the season quite well, so I could have him in my team. It just depends on kind of who I'm feeling towards the start of the deadline. Zander Silva, I don't know. Apparently, in my opinion, I think West Ham will sign another centre forward, whether it be one fit for the Premier League. I think they're just going to be clutching at straws a little bit. I know that their preferable striker declined and looks like he's going to be moving internally in the La Liga. So I don't think that Zander Silva will play. In my first draft video, I did go for Chicharito just for that reason that they did sell Arnautovic. So I just kind of have him in there because he's a 4.5. The one thing I wanted to say was I'll probably transfer Rico out for Kelly from Crystal Palace. He started their preseason game, and I think that Roy Hodgson likes him, so I can see him starting and actually playing for Crystal Palace, which I don't think he's going to be as successful as maybe the 4 mil of Wan-Bissaka. But I think he's going to be a good playing bench player and a cheap enabler for us, so that's quite good. So why 3 Everton players? That's just because their fixtures are pretty good up until around game week 14, and I think that this could probably be where I kind of maybe wild card. I know the whole wild card situation. In my opinion, I don't think that you can plan almost that much for it. As if you followed me last season, I literally used my wild card at the end of December just because I had to. I didn't need to use my wild card at all. I just kept the same team and made my transfers till the end, and then I was basically forced to use my wild card in the end. So I don't think you can really plan for the wild card, but if I was to, it probably would be around game week 14. Yeah. The other thing to note is that Liverpool do have this tough patch around game week 9, which I think is going to be probably where most people wild card, because having 3 top 6 fixtures out of 4 in a row is quite rough. But then obviously after that Man City at home game, there's such nice fixtures for them. So I think maybe this could be where you do wild card in the end. As I said in the draft video, it's quite nice to have Liverpool players because they're just so expensive that you can easily downgrade them and kind of just bring in replacements and spread the funds a little bit. Kevin De Bruyne or Sterling, that's a tough one because I honestly I think that both are great players, but it's almost, in my opinion, it's comparing a very good or an amazing football player, but then not an amazing FPL player. Because De Bruyne, he was getting a lot of assists, but he also sometimes gets the assists of the assists, if you know what I mean. So he will assist the assister. I know that's quite a tongue twister, but basically that's what I've noticed a lot. And with Man City, because they box teams in so much, they generally shift the play out wide, and then Sterling gets a lot more assists. But that being said, I did have De Bruyne, and I was a massive fan of him. I was even considering using my triple captain on him towards the end of the season. So that's definitely someone that I'm keeping my eye on. I think that his price allows us to kind of see how he's going to be playing. And I mean, for him to get the amount of points he did when he was fit, imagine him having a full season. So, but he is a little bit injury prone, that being said. So that kind of worries me a little bit about him. With Perez, kind of a toss-up between the Leicester midfielders, Maddison, Tielemans, and Perez. Tielemans had very good stats last season, but his sample size is a lot smaller. So we could see him maybe drop in points per game over the whole season. Whereas Maddison, his stats of like assists and big chances created are very good. So, and as I said, I think he is more expensive for a reason. So I can be a rapper. Maybe I'll drop the whole FPL thing and start a rapping channel or something. Make a FPL rap. That's a good idea. Have you tried the five at the back formation yet? It's something that I'm tempted by, but I don't know if I'm a little bit different in this like circumstance. I don't know if the defenses this season are going to be as good as last season. I think that last season we were spoiled for choice with the defenses, and we could have absolutely chosen many defenses, including the Liverpool and Man City defenses, and they would have been great. They would have been great in that case. So I don't know if we're going to be getting that many. I think a lot of people are kind of opting for that 5 at the back because the prices of defenders according to midfielders is a lot better. Like a 7 million defender is going to probably score a lot more points than a 7 million midfielder. So that's probably something that I think a lot of people are looking at. I haven't really considered it just because I'm struggling a little bit to spread the funds with my team. I think you guys will probably have noticed as well when you've been making your drafts, but there's so many expensive players that I want, and I just can't simply afford them. That's why players like Dendonka are proving to be gems, coming in at 4.5, really good budget enablers. So yes, I did watch the Wimbledon final. It's why I kind of came a little bit late on. Ellie's a team Federer. I was kind of a little bit mutual. I do like Federer. He just has won so much in his career that I think both of them have, to be fair, him and Djokovic. So was kind of neutral in that game, but was happy to see that it was a good final, and I think the people that attended got their money's worth. My opinion on Nathan Ake, 5 mil, probably a good price for him. I just don't think the Bournemouth defense is that trustworthy. They don't have the best fixtures, or actually they do have very nice fixtures attacking-wise, but defensively I don't really know if they're that great. I'm mainly just looking from, I think the first 2 are great, but then once we hit the Man City, Leicester away, Everton away, I'm thinking that they're going to concede in all 3 of these games. Then they go on a nice, maybe Southampton away and West Ham, but then Arsenal probably, it's like mixed and matched. You can kind of put him in your team, maybe if you're going to play him on the bench, but I don't know if I want to spend 5 mil on a bench player. Will Ake move to City? I don't know. If he does, that you probably could bring him in, and that'll be a cheap alternative. The one player that I think a lot of people are looking at now is Zinchenko. He looks quite interesting. Obviously, Mendy didn't travel with Man City on their preseason tour, which raises some eyebrows there. Kind of expecting him to be the set starter then. I know they've signed this new fullback this season, so maybe he could rival Zinchenko for the spot, but it kind of looks like Zinchenko's place to lose at the moment, and he comes in at 5.5, which is a great entry into that Man City defense. So were there any updates on the cricket? Who ended up winning? I can actually just search here on Google. It doesn't show who won, but it says it's still ongoing, but I don't know if they... Oh, okay, did England win? Okay. Well, congratulations to all you England supporters. That's a great victory there. World Cup. Yeah, so that's what I also read. I read that Mendy is trying to get fit to hopefully return to the squad. Okay, thanks, Brandon. I didn't know that. Yes, what a way to lose a final, I imagine. Losing it on boundaries, on a super over. Opinion on Matt Ritchie. So I think towards the end of the season, Matt Ritchie could be a good option, but I just think the Newcastle fixtures are pretty terrible at the start. If I remember my fixture review video that I did. If you don't know, Matt Ritchie is a defender, was listed as a defender this season, and he is the Newcastle penalty taker. But I'm just a little bit cautious about Newcastle at the moment. I don't know if they're going to have that great of a season. Yeah, Rakesh, cricket is a boring game, but 50 overs isn't that bad. Maybe Test cricket, you could argue that's a little bit boring, but I think 50 overs is a nice in the middle, meet halfway kind of fixture. Okay, so Senegal are in the final. Thank Necromancer Boy. So that's a little bit harsh for if you were going for Sadio Mane. I know that Klopp came out and said that he was kind of going to give Mane an extended break. But for all of you guys worried, don't worry. We have the Community Shield, and I'm sure there's going to be tons of news closer towards the deadline about who is going to be back in the Liverpool squad and everything. Thoughts on Fraser? Good player. I think that if you're looking, I think that you could probably argue that Fraser is a better option than King. With that 6.5 million price tag, I think that could be an interesting way into the Bournemouth attack. I do think that Fraser's a great player. I don't know if he's going to have as big an impact this season as he did last. Obviously, you guys know if you played last season, he was just the assist king and he was racking up the assists. So could be a good option there. I just think that with those midfield spots, you could maybe get some better alternatives with variation. As I think the forward attack, you're probably going to have a Bournemouth attacker. So if you kind of want to have some variation there at a cheaper price, I would probably look at the Bournemouth forwards instead of Fraser. Maddison or Perez, I would go for Maddison in my opinion. I just think that there's a couple of question marks around Perez. If he does start up front with Vardy in a front two, then he probably will be the preferenced option for me personally. Pukki as Liverpool first game, yeah, he does. It's a little bit of a tough one. I think also, I see there iNews was asking about the budget promoted strikers. I think it's just because with these promoted teams, you kind of got to have a look at it. I don't think that there's been a striker that's really that appealing. I know that Pukki did do well in the championship last season, so it's almost like Jota last season. I know a lot of people were considering Jota at the start, but I think that that's more of a watch and see. I kind of think that the promoted sides do have quite bad fixtures at the beginning, so maybe we could just take a look at them and choose later on in the season. Yes, Emerson is the interesting option there. Frank Lampard has come out and apparently said that he is the favoured fullback for Chelsea, so you could opt for him in that Chelsea defence. And I think 5.5 million is a very nice entry in that Chelsea defence. And as I said, I think people are overlooking Chelsea because of that starting Manchester United fixture. So after that, they have some very nice fixtures there. And Chelsea are always generally a consistent team in the Premier League. So if you want to have a top 6 probably team at the end of the season, I would look at Emerson as a cheap way into there. I do think Origi's worth a punt, FPL Ragnarok. I think that he's showing some form in the preseason fixtures. We're just going to have to see who is back at the start of the season. I think that if Mane is given a break and is not returned to the squad yet, I would go for Origi, as I think he probably will play on that left-hand side, and he generally is quite good about cutting in and scoring those near-post goals. So definitely worth a punt. He is a lot cheaper, so could go for him. I'm just going to answer the Giroud and Pulisic question together because it's kind of based on if Chelsea have a set lineup in the preseason. But I do think that Giroud's a good shout. I just am a little bit cautious about those about Abrahams and Batshuayi coming back in. If Giroud was set to start, I would bring him in my team. I think that he's just a proven goal scorer, and I don't really know why Chelsea didn't play him more in the past. Maybe with Frank Lampard, we'll see that he'll be given a set starting role, and that'll be quite useful for us. And I definitely think that he's an option to look at. With Pulisic, I would be a little bit cautious. I think I read something that he scored 4 goals in the Bundesliga last season, which is not that great. So I would kind of hold back on Pulisic a little bit and see how he adjusts to the Chelsea lineup and everything. And in terms of risk for Zaha and Maddison, I don't really know what's happening with the whole Zaha situation. It seems that there's a lot of Arsenal simply can't afford him and that kind of thing, and Arsenal aren't putting enough money in. So we'll have to see with that. But I'm willing to punt on Maddison. I think that Leicester have stacked this season, and we've seen a lot of intent showed by them in this transfer window. So I'm actually backing them and Everton to do quite well this season. Still committed to the double Bournemouth strikers. Okay, so this is very early on, so I'm not going to say I'm committed, as it's quite hard to be committed a month before the start of the Premier League season, but I'm kind of favoring it a little bit. As I said in my draft video, it's kind of useful to know and kind of reassuring for me if Bournemouth get a penalty, I'm pretty much going to be getting points. Whereas last season I was like, oh, is Wilson going to take it? Oh, is King going to take it? And I was a little bit cautious about that. So currently I do have them both. I think that Bournemouth are a good attacking side, and I think that their fixtures are quite nice towards the start of the season. So it's a good option for me in my opinion. I think it's quite worth team value in my opinion. Why no Bernardo Silva? I think that Bernardo Silva is a great player, but I don't know if he's the best FPL option. I think that there are better Man City options. I know he does come in a lot cheaper. So if you are looking for a punt, I kind of think that if you're going for him, you kind of are like, okay, I don't have enough money, but I just want some coverage for the Man City attack. So I'm just going to bring in Bernardo Silva. I don't know if I'd be like, I really, at the start of the season, I really want Bernardo Silva, if you know what I'm saying. How's it, Anthony? Why not Fraser? I just think that the midfield spots, there's some better options. And I think in attack, the attacking options are sometimes a little bit sparse if you're cutting out the Wolves guys. So that's why I've kind of gone for the double Bournemouth options. Yeah, Trenton Rober, a lot of people are doubling up defensively. As I said, I just don't know about Trent with the rotation with Gomez. I think that Matip has simply played too well to be dropped from that centre-back spot. So I think that Gomez will have to probably play that right-back position if he does play. So we could see some rotation there. But a lot of people are saying probably not rotation at the start because at the start of the Premier League, you kind of want to get on a good run. So I think Trent might start the beginning. But as you go to the tougher fixtures, I think Gomez will play. I think some of you will probably remember in the Champions League last season, Gomez just came back from injury and Klopp decided to play him. So that tells me that Klopp likes him as a defensive option, and defensively he's better than Trent Alexander-Arnold in Klopp's eyes. So that's why I was just a bit cautious about that decision. Whereas Robertson, they haven't even signed a replacement left back, having gotten rid of Alberto Moreno. So Robertson's kind of set to start every game and play every minute. What about Murray? I just don't know about the Brighton attackers. They just doesn't sound right to me bringing a Brighton attacker in. I think that he's a great player, and I think that he's given us all a little bit of hope that we could probably play in the Premier League, being a little bit older and everything. So I just don't know if I would go for him over someone like King or Wilson. I think that you could go for maybe as a differential, but I wouldn't, in my opinion. What is the best cheap goalkeeper? Pope has some tough games. He has some tough games, but the thing is with goalkeepers, you kind of always just hoping that they kind of get some save points in the end. I think if you're going to have to look for a goalkeeper, you're probably going to be looking at him or Ryan. So in my opinion, I think that Pope is probably a little bit better than Ryan, but you could have a different opinion. But if you look here at Brighton's fixtures, they also don't have the best fixtures in the world, but they don't have the worst. I think these two here are quite tough, and the Man City away fixture's tough, but I do agree that probably their first 6 are a little bit better than Burnley's. So you could opt for Ryan at the start, but I think you're going to hit a little bit of trouble towards this little bit of a rough patch here. But as I said, like, you could go for Ryan. The nice thing about Ryan is that you do have Button then, so you're kind of covering your bases if Ryan gets injured. You simply just sub in Button, and there's your goalkeeping partner. Dayvy, how much money do you have remaining? I think I have 0 million. Yeah, I have 0 million. I saw a couple of people are keeping cash so that they could get Salah later on after he comes back from holiday, but I think that he'll be back towards the start of the season. Deulofeu, interesting one. Again, I don't really know what to feel about Watford. If I remember correctly, their fixtures weren't the worst, but they weren't the best as well. Yeah, they don't have the best fixtures in the world. So I kind of opted for maybe King instead of Deulofeu, but you could go for Deulofeu, or you could even go for Dini. I probably would go for Deulofeu over Dini, as I think he's just a little bit quicker and a little bit better in that centre forward spot. As a Daily Cyber Demon says, Deulofeu only smashes the small bottom teams. Probably could be said for a lot of players. I think generally the consensus is that better players will beat worse teams. So you could go for a Deulofeu. This is the nice thing about FPL. There's so many different options that you could go for, and there's so many different opinions, which makes this game always so interesting to play. Premium versus cheap goalkeepers. In my opinion, I won't go for an expensive goalkeeper just because the expensive goalkeepers come in about 6 million, and you could probably buy a fullback or a centre back for that price, and they probably offer a little bit of attacking threat. You could tell me that Edison has got an assist before, but he's not going to be getting assists every game. So in terms of Sterling, I'm pretty much set on him. The only person that could maybe nudge me off Sterling would be Aguero, just because Aguero, he's just FPL. He's just an FPL man of the match basically every season. He just scores tons of goals. So I'm currently set on Sterling. I just think that he offers a little bit of variation with the assists compared to Aguero's goal threat generally. Why not Rashford? I'm not considering Man United at all. I know that I think he did score yesterday in their game against Perth, I think. So you could go for him. I just think that there's better value for attackers than Rashford. Worth to get Richarlison and Sigurdsson. You could go for that. That would be quite a punt. I do think that the Everton fixtures are pretty much the best fixtures out of any team. So you could go for them if you think that they're going to be getting returns. I'm currently just on the double Everton defense because I think that there's some clean sheets to be had in those fixtures. Tielemans is better. You could think so. I just think that maybe over the entire season, Maddison might be better. But you probably could go for Tielemans. I know his stats are a little bit better, but his sample size is a lot smaller. Is Kane interesting at 11 million? He is interesting, but I just don't know if I'm going to be going for him at the start. Pleasure Sunil. I don't know if I'm going to be going for Kane at the start. I just think that messes up the team a little bit. And if you're going to be going for Salah, Sterling, and Kane, you kind of are limiting your budget a little bit. I think Capkin just did a video. He released it today or yesterday where he did a draft video on Salah, Sterling, and Kane. And then you're kind of having to dip into that 5 million midfield role, which I do not think is that fresh. I just don't know the appeal about these 5 million midfielders. I've seen Jorginho has been kind of thrown around a little bit, but I don't really know if I'm going to be going for him. Brandon, I do mechanical engineering. Giroud, I spoke about Giroud a little bit earlier. I think that if he's set to start and be the number one Chelsea striker, which in my opinion he should be, I think that he is a great option. I think that I would go for him every day of the week. I just have a liking towards him from watching him when he played for Arsenal and Chelsea. He just scores those outrageous goals and pretty much is just the goal scorer. Is Zinchenko not nailed on? You see, it's a little bit hard to say Zinchenko's nailed on just yet. I think that Mendy is struggling to get fit, but he is trying to get fit. So he could come back into the squad. And if Mendy is starting at fullback for Manchester City, that is completely FPL gold in my opinion. I got Mendy in at the start of last season and he was getting me 15 points every game. He just was getting every single assist and goal. He was even had a little bit of goal threat, but Mendy is just a beast going forward. It's just a pity that he has this injury concern and he always seems to fall out a little bit with Pep Guardiola, either attending nightclubs or not attending training or being late or something like that. So yes, I think that's the player Rakesh Angelino I think they signed him from PSV, am I right? So he could provide some backup there, but I think he was mainly just signed as a backup for the backup. I think that Pep Guardiola kind of just wants to get players on players to kind of slot in if a player gets injured. So yes, we spoke about Maguire and Wan-Bissaka being options that could happen. I think that Maguire is probably a better centre-back than what they have, but I just don't know if I'm that sure on that Man United defence. Rakesh, yes, waiting for Son to return in FPL. This is one of the points I wanted to talk about. Imagine if Son was not suspended. I think that, because personally I would want Son in my team. I think that Son is one of the best FPL options. Not only is he a little bit selfish, but he just shoots on sight all the time and it seems like he has himself in his team and he's captain every week. He's just so hungry for goals and assists. And in my opinion, I think that he will be a great option. He does come in quite expensive, 9.5. It's a little bit of an annoying price. Comes in the same as KDB, so probably would have to downgrade Salah or Sterling in that case. But definitely one to look out for when he comes back. And I think that that's probably going to be where I sum up Spurs is I think that there's enough time to monitor Kane until Son comes back. Because if Spurs are absolutely wrecking teams, personally, I wouldn't bring in Kane before the Man City fixture. So I would wait for after that, and then boom, Son is back. So if you don't have Kane in your team, I wouldn't worry. We can see where Spurs are at the start of the season, and then we can bring in the cheaper alternative of Son instead of Kane if we do want to get on that Spurs bandwagon. Lucas Moura could be an option with Son out. I do agree. Comes in quite cheap. I think he's 7.5. So you could opt for him. I just think that I probably would look at another Spurs option, mainly Kane or Son, in my opinion. I think that those are the two main big hitters. I think that Lucas Moura is a little bit too inconsistent. So Laporte and Coleman or Walker and Digne. If you are reading that straight off the paper, I would probably say Walker and Digne. If Walker is secured in his spot, as I said, he sometimes plays as centre back in that back three, but usually he's the full back position. So you could opt for him instead of Laporte. I think that he offers a little bit more attacking threat. I don't plan to use an early wild card, but I'm not completely crossed off from the idea if the if stuff doesn't go well at the start. I was just saying that it's kind of hard to predict when you're going to be using your wild card. Last season, I ended up using my wild card at the end of the first half because I just had to. I didn't really need to use my wild card the whole season or the whole starting the first half of the season. So if your team is doing well, there's no need to wild card. Digne, Mendy, Laporte, Shaw, a decent backline. Just check on Shaw towards the start of the season because I think he did come off with a little bit of a hamstring injury at the end of their preseason game. But that does look good if Mendy and Shaw are starting fit. Do I think Angelino will start? I don't think he will. I maybe take a look at the preseason fixtures. I know that Man City's, they were meant to leave, I think, yesterday, but then they got a little bit delayed for some reason. So if he does start preseason games, then you probably could look at bringing him in. Salah triple captain against Norwich, something I've also been seen thrown around a little bit. Very interesting proposal there. I think that I said when the fixtures were released, you're probably not going to be getting a better fixture than Norwich at home. So could be a good way to start off the season. I just don't know if I would. I would have nightmares about using my triple captain the first game week and Salah comes on for a 1-point appearance or something like that. Imagine how that would ruin your season. And people are generally quite sensitive on their seasons. Like if they're not doing that well at the start, they will kind of stop playing or something like that and stop following if they're not doing well. So I would probably give yourself the biggest chance to carry on playing for the whole season. So I probably wouldn't be bringing him in at the start, no. Who will know how Pep starts at the back? Why gamble? That is true, but if you look at a player like Laporte, even though Man City did rotate a lot, Laporte was kind of set in there. And there are talks about Otamendi leaving, so that kind of fulfills that Laporte slot completely. And it seems like he does trust Laporte a lot, and rightly so. I think he's a very good centre-back. Thanks for watching my videos last season. I'm sure a lot of you kind of started watching me from last season, so I hope that you've been enjoying the content this season and this preseason, and there's a lot of content more to come. I just simply wanted to do quite a bit of content these previous weeks and do a live stream today, as I am starting university tomorrow, which is a little bit bleak. So I think that will cause a little bit of disruption on the video making, but hopefully I can get 1 or 2 videos out every week. With the Heaton transfer, I don't really know where it's going. I heard that he could be going to Aston Villa, which in my opinion makes Pope the set starter for Burnley. But as I said, that could just be a rumour. I know that the rumour with Dunk or Duffy going to Manchester United was apparently completely fake, according to a Brighton source. He came out and said that he doesn't know where the rumour came from, but Duffy or Dunk have not been contacted by Manchester United, which makes it a little bit interesting. Bruno Fernandes, as I said, another up in the air question there. If he does come, could be an option, but I think that you just kind of have to see where he plays in that Manchester United lineup. Maddison and Giroud versus Fraser and Deulofeu. I would probably go for Maddison and Giroud. But if I'm correct, Maddison and Giroud are probably a lot more expensive than Fraser and Deulofeu. I think about 2 mil extra. So they probably will be better because they're more expensive. But just from reading that, Maddison and Giroud. Zaha or Maddison, I would go Maddison. I just want to see where Zaha kind of lands up. And he still is in the African Cup of Nations, if I am correct. What are Liverpool's chances conceding to free-scoring Norwich? Probably not that high. I think that if Norwich do come out and are absolutely blitzing the attack, they are going to get thrashed, because generally if you want to attack Liverpool, they counter-attack you back, and they're pretty good at it. So they could score, but you'll probably see the odds come out closer to the deadline about everything. Yeah, South Africa did do well in AFCON. I was disappointed because of that goal that we conceded late on. It was the keeper basically came out and did a Karius and just missed the ball completely, which is a bit annoying. I think that we did play some nice football, but I do think that Senegal will win. That is just my opinion. I don't know if you've seen Nigeria versus Algeria. It's happening right now at 9 o'clock. Kickoff is about to happen. But the richest man in Africa has promised them basically 1 million rand. I don't know how that translates. I'll just probably say about $75,000 per goal they score against Algeria. So I posted on Twitter and I said, guys, I've got an idea for a little bit of an incentive for my FPL team. I'll just pay them $75,000 every goal they score. Opinion of Max Aaron's the new Doherty. I know that he's probably been labelled that, but it's kind of a wait and see for me. If you want to go for a cheap option, you probably can and just take a little bit of a punt. But I'm a little bit cautious about the promoted teams. The promoted teams have historically always kind of done worse when they've come up to the Premier League. So what's the underlying stats comparison look like between Laporte versus Walker? Probably quite weird because Walker is a fullback and Laporte is a centre-back. So, as I said in my comparison video, it's a little bit hard to compare, say, Trent Alexander-Arnold to Virgil van Dijk, because they basically do completely different jobs. Whereas maybe Walker and Laporte's a better comparison, because Walker sometimes does play in that back three as a centre-back. But I kind of think that Walker offers a little bit more than Laporte going forward. But that being said, Walker did have some shoddy games last season, so we could see if he even holds his place. Algeria are favourites to win the AFCON. Yes, they do have a very good team with Mahrez and all of those guys. Is it crazy to start the season with a 4-5-1? No, it's not. Any formation is not crazy. Josh, you can go for anything your heart desires, just as long as it's within the limits of FPL, obviously, with 3 defenders and so forth. So you could go for anyone. I mean, it's your team. Who says that your team won't be the best team in Fantasy Premier League for the start? Which new players have I considered? It's a little bit tough, because that question is, I'm not even considering that many new players. I'm just considering players that have been in the Premier League and have switched teams, like maybe Perez or someone like that. I think if West Ham maybe sign... If West Ham maybe sign a good centre forward, I could be interested in him. But other than that, there haven't been that many new signings that I've kind of been interested in that much. But I do think there's going to be a lot more signings before the Game Week 1 deadline, which could be quite interesting. I started playing FPL. So last season was my 3rd season. I started playing whatever year that was. I started in Game Week 8 because I saw my friends playing it. So I started in Game Week 8. That's when I started. Yeah, the thing is, with Bernardo Silva, that's just the kind of a bench fodder. You can substitute him for any kind of 4.5 striker if you want. And I probably will, but before the end of the deadline. Yes, if you choose your squad, Lewis, you can make as many transfers as your heart desires before the Game Week 1 deadline. After the game week 1 deadline, it will be restricted to 1 free transfer per game week, which you can stack up to 2. Is Westwood nailed on for Burnley? I think so. He did have quite a good season last season, so he should be nailed on. Yeah, I will share my teams and picks each week this season, hopefully. Unless something major happens and I can't upload any videos, like I don't have internet or something. But I'm aiming to upload my team and share my team. It's a little bit of a funny thought because I thought that obviously I have this Dayvy versus the World League, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a couple of people copying the exact team. So we're going to have a bunch of Dayvy FPLs in the team. We're going to have about a couple hundred of us all on the same score every single week. So I think that's going to be quite interesting to see what happens overall on that kind of front. I think there's a lot of nice youth players that we can look forward to. I think maybe some, as you say, Greenwood and those Manchester United players. But I think Chelsea with players like Hudson-Odoi, a little bit annoying that he comes in more expensive. So could go for there. What price do you think Batshuayi will be? I think that he'll be probably a little bit cheaper than Giroud. So maybe 6.57. He does play for Chelsea, but Chelsea's players are quite cheap this season. So I think he won't be higher than 7 more. Mason Mount is a decent shot, yes, and he did score quite a nice goal for Chelsea in the preseason game now. So you could go for him. I just am a little bit cautious about some of the youngsters because the step up from preseason to the Premier League is quite big. So you'll see a lot of youth players. Even I personally support Liverpool, so players like Brewster have been scoring a lot, but that does not mean that they'll be starting or even scoring in the Premier League. So Barkley, I would probably go for. I wouldn't go for Barkley. I would go for the other Chelsea midfielder, Loftus-Cheek. I think that he could have a cracking season. He ended the season quite well last season, so you could go for him. Any 4.0 starters, the only player I can kind of maybe think of is Rico, just because Nathaniel Klein is back at Liverpool, so you could see Rico maybe pick that spot up again. But as of now, I'm only sure of Kelly. There is Reed from West Ham, but I don't know if he's going to be getting that centre-back spot over Diop or Balbuena. Yeah, Andres, that's what especially with this whole transfer ban, I think that Lampard's going to go 100% kind of trying to fill up the team with youth players for the future. King Captain Game Week 1, differential only. I just think the Liverpool boys are a little bit hard to look over. Even the Man City players with West Ham away should do well. If Bruno Fernandes does join Man United, I'll have to see on that one. I'm not too assured about Bruno Fernandes. I know that he was a very good player and he's quite a good playmaker, so I'll have to take a look at and see just how he's going to fit in that Manchester United startup. If he does sign, he probably will play some preseason games for them, so I'll take a look at him and then make my assessment. Rico is a left back, so maybe is Nathaniel Klein not a left back? That's what I thought. I thought he was a left back. So maybe Rico just lost his spot out completely to play like Adam Smith. So maybe apologize if I'm wrong there, and maybe Rico just lost his spot completely and then he's not a set starter in the first place. Leicester will miss Maguire big time. I think they will miss him big time, but I don't know if they're going to be that phased attacking wise because of their new signings. I think that they should do quite well still. Thoughts of going no Salah? You can go no Salah. I'm actually completely fine with that if you want to. The only thing I can think of is I would go no Salah if you're going to get Mane. But because Mane might miss the start, I think that going no Salah is a little bit crazy. But then I would just get a player like Origi maybe. Dayvy, which team or player are you most excited about? It's a little bit of a hard one because I'm a little bit biased here. I'd probably say Liverpool, but in terms of exciting options, I probably would say Leicester. I think that I hope that they have a good season and Vardy has a good season. I think that it'll be quite nice to have him up front there in most of our teams. Okay, you're going no Liverpool. That's quite an out there strat. I haven't heard of that one before. I think that if you go no Liverpool, that's quite ballsy. I think Salah will play. As I said, you don't have to stress about the Liverpool selection or whatever, because we have the Community Shield coming up. So you can kind of easily take a look at that and then see their starting 11. As Mr. Kimmy has just stated in chat. So just wait for the Community Shield, and then you don't have to worry about anything. You just kind of have to worry about drafts after then. If Maguire joins City and you'll have him and 3 other, that makes 4 City before update. Yes, but then the first transfer you make after that transfer is to transfer a Man City player out. And I don't know if Maguire is going to go to City. I think that Pep Guardiola's pulled one over Man United and revved up the price of Maguire just so that they pay over the budget for him. So I think Maguire will probably go to United. News, Norwich could be a dark horse. They could be the Wolves of this season. I just think that that's kind of a wait and see. As I did with the Wolves options last season, I kind of just waited to see which players were kind of good and if they were going to adjust to the Premier League. So will Trippier turn up this season? The only thing I've heard about Trippier is that he might be transferred out. Not willingly, obviously. I think that Spurs would look to keep him, but they apparently there are options from overseas teams to transfer him in. Yes, that's the other interesting one with the Chelsea centre-backs, is apparently Kurt Zuma could be playing for them. And that will make things interesting and shake things up. I do think, though, if I'm going to go for a Chelsea defender, it probably would be Azpilicueta or Emerson if he does get that spot. You're looking forward to how Sheffield United defenders do. It's quite an interesting one. Obviously, they're a promoted team. There's going to be some pressure on them to do well, so could see. Yeah, there's a rumor of Dunk going to Leicester as a Maguire replacement, but as I said, there apparently a Brighton news report has come out and said that that's probably a little bit fake, and he doesn't know where it came from. Dayvy, remember the 253 chip? I actually played FPL after that, so I don't remember. Oh no, I did play FPL. That was the last season that chip was in, All Out Attack. Yeah, that was a crazy one, where you just stacked your attackers and then you had your 2 defenders. That would have been quite interesting. It would actually be quite interesting to see if FPL implemented a no formation rule, where you could just kind of go, for anyone. Yo, Robbie, I do have a league. It's called Dayvy versus the World. Comment if you think that's an appropriate name. I kind of just decided that on the spot. If it's a really trashy name, then just say and I'll change it. I just thought that it was an interesting one to do. League code is BDFI35, so you could go for it. If you want to join, obviously there might be people that have not joined. I have not even paid much attention. I hope you guys are enjoying the whole subscriber feed that I've got up there. Hopefully it fills you with joy to see your name pop up there. I know that most streamers do it, so enjoy that little minutes of fame there for you guys. I thought that you would appreciate it. There, thanks Love FPL for posting the code in chat. I think it's BDFI though. I think you just made a little bit of a typo there. No worries though. I appreciate you typing the name in, but let me just check BDFI. So just correct that. I'll actually just type it in chat. There's the code if you want to copy paste it, if you don't want to kind of translate what I've been saying here. Can't maybe understand my accent. Love Island on soon. I do not watch that show at all, but obviously I'm not going to hold anything against you if you decide to click off the stream and go watch Love Island. I just see it on Twitter all the time, and pretty much lots of people talk about it and how it's quite good. So Matthew, if you want to go watch Love Island, I won't hold anything against you, and thanks for tuning in. Bellerin is working. I think that he's returned to fitness, it seems. I think he has been offered the captaincy at Arsenal as well. Obviously, after the whole Koscielny thing, could put some dampener on Arsenal's season. So it looks like Bellerin should be there, but as I said, Bellerin's not the best defender. He's quite good attacking and going forward, but he's kind of a little bit shoddy at the back. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. Dayvy, best mid options in 6.5 and below. Probably Fraser at 6.5 or one of the Leicester players. I don't really think there's many options going down the budget line about those 5 more players. You could probably look at a player like from a promoted team. They should be quite cheap. Calvert-Lewin, I just don't know about Calvert-Lewin. I think that he has good hold-up play, but I don't know if he's that much of a centre-forward player. I think that there are probably better options. If I was to go for someone, I probably would go for pay the extra premium of Sigurdsson or Richarlison. What positions have you finished in the last few seasons? I finished 22nd last season. Then I finished, I think, 60,000 the previous season before that, and then I finished like 900,000. But then I started in game week 8, so I'm not holding that one much against myself. But I'm honest, and I did finish about like 900k, I think. Thanks for the £1 donation there, Den, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Hopefully it shows up on the stream. I just have to kind of check if it does, because there's been... I'm just trying to get the stream obviously in tip-top shape. Thanks, Den. I think that that will be your name, Den. So thanks a lot for the £1 donation there. There we go. Pops up on stream. So thanks a lot, and thanks for the donation. I really appreciate it. KDB is a bargain at 9.5. I tend to agree with you, but as I said, that he's a fantastic footballer, but maybe not the best FPL option. But he could be a good alternative to KDB in the future. I think that if he is nailed, then we could look at him. Robbie H, can you look at my team? Just tweet it to me, and I'll try and take a look at it. I know that I've been sometimes a little bit bad on Twitter and on the comments recently. It's just there's quite a lot of comments and tweets, so I apologize if I don't get back to you on those, but I'll try my best. My Twitter is at Dayvy FPL. Just type in my at like the Dayvy name, because not many people have it, and it should pop up. Teams you like in La Liga. I was always a little bit more of a Real Madrid fan over Barcelona, but I tend to kind of support any underdog. I liked Atletico Madrid because they were trying to get their title and everything. But my Real Madrid favor has fallen a little bit over the whole Champions League saga that Liverpool and Real Madrid have had over the past couple seasons. Whom do you suggest to take from a newly promoted team? I think Pukki from Norwich. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Sorry if I'm butchering it. But I think that he's a nailed goal scorer. So if you're going to take a punt on someone, you might as well just take a punt on him. Naz, I did not watch the Man United game. I don't really watch too much preseason, as they're not really streamed on South African TV. So I'd probably have to get a stream off the internet for that, but I just didn't. A lot of Man U fans were hyping up Daniel James. Apparently he's an absolute pace horse. He's very quick, so could be an option. Interesting to see him if he plays every single game. Then I think you could look at him. Quite a cheap way into that Man United lineup. Okay, just type in my YouTube name, Robbie. It should pop up on Twitter. Norwich like a bad version of Bournemouth. Now that you say it, probably, maybe. The only thing I know about Norwich is when they used to be in the Premier League, Luis Suarez absolutely used to have them for breakfast. So that's basically the only thing I know. But obviously, you should be a good team having been promoted. So Thoughts on Tielemans? Could be a good option. I'm just a little bit cautious about his sample size from last season. Thank you for saying I sound Finnish. That's a compliment. So I appreciate it. And nice to have you from Finland. I think we probably should almost be on the same time zone, so that's quite good. Don't you think Liverpool will concede against Norwich? It could be an open-ended game. That's why I'm not too phased about doubling up on the Liverpool defense. But that being said, if you say Norwich can score, any team should be able to score. So I don't know if that's the best argument to say for not having a Liverpool defender. Oliver, what made you support Liverpool? It's just been like an ancestral thing. My entire family has supported them, grandfather, dad. So I've kind of been instilled to be a Liverpool supporter. Bex's 6 million defender apart from Digne. Probably could look at Walker. Could look at Walker or someone like that. Should be good. Tierney linked with Arsenal. Thoughts on him? Could be a good option. I just don't trust the Arsenal defense, so I probably won't be looking at him that much. Hazard Ricardo from Florida. I have actually been to Florida. It's probably the only overseas country I have been to, so I really enjoyed it. America's a great country. Who do you think will be relegated this year? I'll be making a video on my predictions for the season, probably closer to the deadline, as I kind of want to assess who's going to get transferred. But if you're going to talk about now who's going to get relegated, you're probably going to be looking at the newly promoted teams. iNews face reveal at 2 million subs. There we go. Hazard Rakesh from Kolkata. Walker's XG and XA look pretty poor. Yeah, I do agree. I don't think he got that forward that much last season. So kind of just in there as a cheaper option to Laporte, to be honest. Price is probably the only thing in it. If Maguire goes to United, would you see Aaron Wan-Bissaka as a good option? Maybe. I just think that at that 5.5 million range, you probably could get better players. And I'll kind of focus on seeing how Man United start the season before I kind of commit to one of those teams. Yes, I will try to be doing more live streams like this. The one thing that I kind of want to do is if we hit like 10,000 subscribers before the deadline, then maybe do like a nice long stream where I kind of just talk about FPL, maybe play some games or something like that. But the thing I'm very cautious about is playing games, because I know a lot of you guys are here for FPL. We have another donation here from Naz Khan with the £5 donation. Much appreciated, brother. Thanks a lot for that. £5 is a lot of money, so thanks a lot for donating, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, Ben. Robbie, I did see that you DM my team. I'll probably reply to it. I probably won't see it now as I don't have my phone with me currently. Rakesh, I probably won't play Bundesliga, as I'm a little bit focused on FPL at the moment. The one thing that I was really gutted about was not playing or not making videos on the World Cup fantasy, because I actually finished really high in that. So I really enjoyed that as a little bit of a shift from FPL. I could play other fantasy games based on the Premier League. I don't know if you guys would be interested in that. Maybe some more like gambling side of things if you have to pay entry, like a cash league almost. Chris Wood does pique my interest a little bit, but I just don't know. It's almost like having a Brighton attacker, like a Burnley attacker, it's a little bit different for me and doesn't sound right almost. Jimenez from Wolves, solid player. I just don't like their fixtures. I think there's other teams with better fixtures than Jimenez, but probably I will have him in my team at least once this season. So Oliver, this draft mode is a little bit of an alternative to normal fantasy. Basically, you have, I don't know if you know how an NFL draft works. It's basically you get a group of friends, and let's say I get chosen first, so I get to pick a player, and then no one else can pick that player. So it kind of makes things interesting, because you have to kind of strategically choose who you're going to be putting in your team. What happens if you come first in the award, Robbie? You just win. I think you win a trip to England and you get to go watch 2 Premier League games. Zinchenko is a good option if he does have his spot played. Like if he does have his spot secured and he is set to play in that position, that could be good. Emerson or Zinchenko? Right now, if you ask me, probably Emerson. I think he's a little bit more nailed than Zinchenko. But if Zinchenko does win the spot, then I would pick Zinchenko. Vardy could be an option. I spoke about that a little bit early on. I think that he could come in the team and could be in the Game Week 1 lineup for me. If Philippe Coutinho does come back to Liverpool, Alan asks, will he be around 9 to 10 million, or is it worth it? I don't really know on that one. I don't know if he, in my opinion, he might come in at about 9 mil. I just think that the season out maybe will make him come in a bit cheaper, but he could be the same price as De Bruyne at 9.5, so could go for that. How is Emerson more nailed? Apparently, Frank Lampard has come out and said that he is the chosen fullback or something like that. And I think Alonso has dipped off a little bit in this last season. So, what do you think about Grealish with a favourable fixtures for Aston Villa? Could be an option. I think that out of the promoted teams, Aston Villa probably have the best chance of succeeding in the Premier League. They have been there before. So, if you want to take a punt, you could go on him. What teams rotate well? The only one that I kind of can remember is mainly Burnley and Aston Villa with defences. Chloe's been shouting at me, who's the captain, Kane, Salah or Sterling? I don't think you can look past Salah, in my opinion. If he's set to start, then I would probably go Salah. But all of them are good options, that being said. Thanks, Dayvy. Love your content. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Oscar, I've spoke about Trent Alexander-Arnold a lot, so the gist of it is that if he was set to start every game, 100% in my team, but I do think that he's going to rotate a little bit with Gomez this season. What do you think Tammy Abraham's price will be? Not more than 7 million, probably about 6.5. No worries, Chloe. If you have both Salah and Kane, HL says Captain Kane, so could look at that. Starting striker for Everton, I know that Tosin was injured, so he didn't play the preseason game today. So it could be Calvert-Lewin. Rakesh, honestly, best time for wildcard is completely subjective. It depends on your team, and it depends how the season's kind of going. Because if the season's bad, then obviously we're not going to be using our wildcards that late on. We're going to be using them quite early. This isn't me. You can't use your first wildcard past January, which, if you follow me last season, was why I had to use it on the last available game week. Because I simply just didn't use my wild card at all that season. No worries, Norwegian View. KDB or Bernardo Silva, a little bit tough because KDB is a lot more expensive. But KDB will be my preference every day of the week, probably. Opinions on Redmond, it's a tough one there because I don't really know about Southampton and about Southampton's attack more or less, so I don't really know about that one. How do I think VAR will affect FPL this season? I don't know if it'll affect it that much. I know a lot of people are saying that it'll probably get a lot more penalties, but so I don't really know. Oliver, I did not win anything. It was 22nd, not 26th, but unfortunately you get nothing if you, unless you top 3, or you win one of the weekly challenges or the monthly challenges. So that's the thing about some of these games that make you like pay a premium to enter, such as like £5 or whatever, is the prizes go up to about like the top 100 places almost. So that could be an alternative to normal FPL. Got your eyes on any Chelsea strikers? Yes, on Giroud in particular if he does start. Opinions on Vardy? Good option. If I had to go for a premium striker, I probably would go for him. Yes, Aguero is the only person that could probably knock me off Sterling, personally, Ahmed. So I could probably go for Aguero, but Sterling's kind of just favoured in my opinion a little bit. Do you see yourself making any more major changes to your current team? Probably, because there's about a month left. Skinny mini, so we could make quite a lot of changes, especially if something comes out like an injury or something like that. Would you look for rotation for Pope? If I brought Pope in, I probably would just keep him as my 4.5 and just play him every game week. I hate having a 4.5 and a 4.5, and then when you have the guy on the bench that goes on a massive streak or something, that's particularly annoying to me. Yeah, Aguero is getting older, and that's the only thing about Aguero that I'm a little bit cautious of, is I think that Jesus is going to have a lot more minutes this season. Do I trust Everton defense? I don't trust them, but I trust the fixtures, if that makes sense. Your attack, Kane, Vardy, and King. That's quite an expensive attack there, Robbie. You don't think that Jesus can perform better than Aguero? I personally think that Aguero is a better player than Jesus, but it might be tough when Jesus is being basically forced to get minutes or something like that. Sané's off to Bayern in the end. I think that will be a major loss for Man City. I think that Sané's a great player, but obviously it just hasn't been that good at Man City in Pep Guardiola's eyes. Rakesh, that's the other thing with Wolves, is they do have the Europa League, as you say, and that could shift their focus. And I just think that stretches your squad completely. So you could see that they basically start off badly. Yeah, I think that Jesus will probably play more minutes. Nitride, I know you want me to say, what's up, dog? So, what's up, dog? Thoughts on Sané? We just spoke about him potentially going to Bayern. So, personally, I wouldn't look at Sané. I think that if he was nailed to get minutes, you obviously could. But I just think that after last season, you'd be very brave to go with him. Interested in any Arsenal assets? Maybe if Zaha goes to Arsenal because he's quite cheap. But other than that, not really. I think that Aubameyang is being overlooked. I think that he could have a great season again, as he has done in the previous season. So you could look at him. How's the Supersport Gaming? It's chilled. You just joined. We've just been chatting for about an hour and 17 minutes here. So Emerson, how much is that guy? He is 5.5. Ryan and Begovic rotation. I just don't trust Bournemouth, so you could still go with him if you want. Yeah, Sterling did have a great season last season, so it'll be interesting to see if he can keep it up, because obviously it was his best season ever, so he could have he could kind of drop and then kind of move up. Reece Nelson is in Arsenal, I think so. I think he's one of their youth players, if I'm not mistaken. Should I switch Salah for Sterling and upgrade someone else and rotate my captaincy? I don't think you can rotate with Reed, unless I don't know if you're talking about Reed from West Ham being the centre back Ben Stiller, but otherwise the team doesn't look that bad. Gamers Addict, I like Kane, but I think that's a wait and see for me personally. Aren't you worried about just having Dendoncker? Yes. Obviously this isn't a set lineup, and if we do see another 4.5 forward or a 4 million defender coming in, I'll replace them. But I do think then Dendoncker will have a good season. So obviously you should have a good bench, but I'm a little bit cautious about putting too much money in my bench. How's it, fellow Dave? I think that they're going to dominate again, personally. I just don't, unless another team comes out and has a stellar transfer window, I don't see any teams kind of challenging. I think Spurs are going to have a good season as well. But other than that, I don't really know. I think what I would do, Ben, still in your situation, is I would have Salah, And then as soon as Salah hits this rough patch, around maybe here, or you could even go before, I would switch to Sterling and then captain him for those fixtures because he's got some better ones over here. So you can kind of swap and change if you want to do anything. Do you win anything if you win your league? I'm trying to work on it and see if we can get a prize, but I can't really guarantee it. Obviously, if we get a sponsor for it, then I could maybe get you guys a prize or something. Do you think Zinchenko worth a punt? That's a wait and see, but if he does start playing preseason games, then I would go for a punt. Yes, I do agree, HL, that Spurs and City have made the best transfers, but I do think that Liverpool might still sign someone, and I think Man United are still going to be quite busy. Ndombele, I think that he could be a good option for Spurs, but I don't think a good option for FPL. I think that he's a defensive midfielder, if I'm correct. Carl, do I think I can beat last year's finish? I think that is going to be mighty tough to beat 22nd, but I'm going to try my best, and I hopefully will try and beat it. But I think that I'll be happy with finishing a little bit lower at the end of the day. Hi Neil, nice to see you in here. I don't want to pronounce Milovojevic. Do you know who I'm talking about? The Crystal Palace penalty taker. You could opt for him. Crystal Palace do get a lot of penalties, but that is also dependent on Zaha. So if Zaha leaves Crystal Palace, then you probably would look at getting rid of Milo as well. I'll just call him Milo because I'm not going to butcher his surname anymore. Jham, good streaming, Dayvy. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have been enjoying the stream so far. And just comment anything that I can improve on. Don't feel bad about it. I know sometimes I might seem a little bit monotonic, but I think it's just because my voice is a little bit deeper. So I don't want to sound bored or tired or anything. So just maybe give me a little bit of a reminder if I'm sounding too a depro. Saint, I've been watching last season. Can't remember where you finished though. 22nd. If you're being sarcastic, I'm sorry if I've been talking about it too much. You think Palace is in total chaos now? The entire defense is gone. I do think that that's going to hit them. I think that Wan-Bissaka is a great defender and he's especially a good fullback. So I do think that they're going to take a little bit of adjustment, but they could make another signing. Remember, they did get paid like 50 million for Wan-Bissaka, so I will probably review people's teams in my league, but they'll probably be more of like a live stream thing. So that'll probably be quite useful. Oscar, you can send it to me on Twitter, but I probably will be doing streams in the future to be on that. So if you want to send me your teams, I probably will do a portion of the stream in the future. I just thought that this stream we could kind of be doing a little bit more chatting and just kind of chilling around and that kind of stuff. Jay, I'm planning to do live streams. I've just kind of found out that I can do live streams because my upload speed here in South Africa is not the best. Obviously, I'm not tuning the internet here in South Africa. It's just that it's quite expensive to have very good uploads. So it's not like they're overseas. So I just wanted to test if I could, and now I can. So I'm very keen to do it. How's it, Jason? Nice to see you in here. What makes me pick Maddison over Perez? Just Perez is a little bit unknown. I want to see how he fits into that Leicester lineup. If he does play the front two with Vardy up front, I'm looking at him. Rakesh, I don't play FIFA. The last FIFA I played, I think, was FIFA 16. I just took a little bit of a break. That's one thing that I wanted to maybe get into was playing FIFA 19 or 20 on stream. But as I said, I'm a little bit cautious because I know people are here for FPL, not for FIFA. So maybe if we did a much longer stream, then I could maybe play some FIFA just to pass the time. Trenton Robertson, my opinion, Robertson. Is Andre Gomez good? Good player, not great option for FPL. How's it, Zweli? Zaha or Maddison? Maddison, just because I'm a little bit up in the air about Zaha. Kane or Vardy? Vardy. Would you consider Siggy out and Bernardo Silva in? Yes, but I do think that Sigurdsson's a better FPL option than Bernardo Silva. But if Everton are looking absolutely dreadful, then I could probably move on. You're sitting in an Ibrahimovic United shirt. I have an Ibrahimovic AC Milan shirt that I play football in. Thoughts on Raul Jimenez? Great player. Tough fixtures for the start. So I think there's personally better fixtures to go for. Saint, I don't know how I haven't made a team. We can design a kit right now if you want. Let's make it. Oh, that's quite a dark green, and we can kind of maybe go for white. I was a little bit interested with the stripes, so maybe we go for black stripes. Oh, but that looks a little bit grim. And then we will go for. Let's go for no room for racism. Shorts will go for black. Socks will go for hoops. Favorite club. There we go. That kid looks absolutely terrible, but I hope you guys are happy that now it's not a blank team anymore on the kit section. Dave, this won't be my team probably, but it might have similar players. Yeah, Jason, that's what I was saying. I think that Gomez is probably going to be playing a lot more this season after coming back from injury, and I think Klopp trusts him a lot more than Trent Alexander-Arnold in those tough games. So go neon plus black. That's an interesting one. I might consider that, and next stream maybe I'll have that on. Do you usually prioritize quality of players or fixtures? So if you're going to ask me those two, I would say quality of player. But if you're going to ask me form over fixtures, I usually say fixtures. Do you think it's worth keeping 0.5 in the bank? It could be if you're happy with your lineup. If you're honestly happy with your team and you have 0.5, don't be worried about it. It's actually quite useful because if there are price rises, you can kind of make some changes. With James's speed, Pogba may have a field day with his crazy through balls. That is true. Going to be interesting to see. Obviously, there is talk about Pogba maybe leaving, so you could look at that. Gomez may play more central defense. He could, but I think he's going to rotate with Matip and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I just think that Matip's had too good of a season to kind of be replaced. Will Pope play? I think he will play if Heaton moves on. Chelsea strikers Giroud to start. I would think that Giroud starts, but I am a little bit worried with Batshuayi and Abrahams in the wings. They could come on. I think that their prices will be lower than 7 million though. So Chicharito worthy. I had him in my first draft, and I was quite happy to see that my thought process came through on that one, because I basically said that with Arnautovic gone, you could probably go for Chicharito. If Heaton stays, I probably will swap to Ryan. Yeah. What's your template for your FPL lineup? By template, do you mean like which players are set in my lineup? Yeah, I do think Chelsea and Man United players, and it kind of makes it a little bit easier for us because they do play each other, Cole. So you could kind of look at those two and kind of see what the result of that team is. Thanks, Saint. One of the things that I was a little bit unhappy about is because when you get a lot more comments and tweets, you kind of reply to all of them, which I used to do at the start. So it's something that I'm trying to get back into. Lank, I swear you asked this question in the test stream as well about mod. I don't know if I'm big enough or have enough views to kind of have a mod, because I can kind of monitor the chat myself a little bit and whatever. So I will consider it though, and kind of maybe in the future I'll get a couple mods in the chat. Okay, Pickford-Stecklenburg combo. That's quite interesting. So what I was thinking about is my thought process with not going for Pickford is that Coleman is the same price as Pickford, and I think that Coleman is a better option than Pickford with his attacking returns. So that's just my thinking behind the whole Pickford scenario. But I do agree that you should be probably bringing in someone from the Everton defense. Yeah, Ox isn't a bad shout. I think it's going to be interesting to see where he kind of lines up in that Liverpool attack. Probably in the midfield role. But then again, Liverpool do have a lot of midfielders. So that's kind of going to be interesting. Okay, so who's set in my FPL team? So I would say Robertson, Pope if Heaton gets transferred, Digne, Salah, Sterling, Wilson. That's probably who I'm set with. Dayvy, the Nigerian lad who scored. Okay, I'm not going to say calm or anything because that's a little bit unfortunate. And I mean, I'm never going to be supporting a team that kind of scores an own goal. Shame, that's a little bit hard, especially when you're supporting you're playing for your national team. Higuain to West Ham is an interesting one. You could look at that. If he does get transferred, you probably could look at that. But if my thought process on it is if he didn't play that well for Chelsea, and Chelsea are a lot better players than West Ham, so do you think anyone can break into the top 6? I do think so. Leicester and Everton. HL, if you're playing poker, good luck, and I hope you win loads. Yeah, I am from South Africa. Hopefully you can't hear my accent that thoroughly. I do think that I do have an accent, but hopefully you can still hear me or be able to translate what I'm saying. Higuain, basically, we go to West Ham because he's fallen out of favour a little bit at his home team. So West Ham are looking for a centre forward, so he could go to them. Yeah, rumours are that Diego Costa is going to Wolves. There was news that apparently he signed personal terms with them, which basically means a salary or something like that. But I don't know how much truth there is into that rumour. I'm kind of skeptical about a lot of the rumours because a lot of the agents of these players kind of hype up their players so that they get signings and kind of make fake rumours. Your accent actually sounds similar to Dutch. That's probably because here in South Africa, Afrikaans, which is similar to Dutch, is kind of a predominant language. Do you feel that there's a lot of very similar teams this year compared to previous years? Probably. There's my thought process about this whole season is that the players that I had last season are a lot more expensive now than they were last season. So I'm kind of struggling because I've gotten used to having these players like Salah, Mane, Sterling all in my squad. But now there's been a lot of reduction, and I'm having to look at a lot more other players. Are you from Cape Town? You might sound a little bit more English then. Yeah, I think Afrikaans accent's tough to follow sometimes. I've gotten a little bit used to it, so I can understand it. Thanks a lot, Bradley, that you enjoy my accent. Hopefully it is enjoyable as you say it. You wouldn't have a Norwich defender. I would tend to agree with that as they are playing Liverpool first. Is Kane a differential? Probably now. The thing to note is that, as you can see, there's about under 1 million players right now. And towards the start of the season, you're probably looking at about 4 or 5. So right now, if you kind of look at Kane's ownership, it's probably not the best reflection on the squads, because I would probably say that a lot of players currently are probably your hardcore fans and stuff, because a lot of the casual players are going to be coming in a lot sooner to the deadline, and then they will be bringing in Kane and those type of players. So right now he's a 20% owned player, so that's quite a lot, to be honest. So we probably will see that increase, and I think due to him having a reduced price, he could be in a lot of teams. Yes, Jason. Exaburki? Yarmolenko may be hot. That could be. I know that he was injured a little bit, for the last season. So, thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. What midfielder should you get for 6 million? That's a little bit tough. We can maybe look here and I can give you a suggestion because 6 million is a little bit tough. You could look at Townsend if you're interested in Crystal Palace. I probably wouldn't be looking. If you want to take a real punt, you could go for Wijnaldum or Milner. That's probably could be a good option. I probably would maybe look at Westwood from Burnley. He's quite good. But otherwise, Pereira or Townsend should do you well. You could also look for some of the new boys, maybe from the promoted teams. Obviously, they're not going to pop up on this list because they didn't score any points last season. But you could opt for them. Harvey, this is hopefully going to be a regular thing if you guys do enjoy it. I will try to stream. Probably like Sundays seem like a nice time. The only thing is that a lot of other FPL YouTubers stream on a Sunday, and I generally feel bad for kind of streaming on their time if they've been streaming for years on the same time slot. So I will kind of maybe adjust and see how my schedule goes at university and then kind of see a time that suits you guys as well. Should we consider Richarlison? I think you can consider him. I just prefer Sigurdsson a little bit, but you could go for Richarlison if you wanted. Fireman of Norwich City, experienced goalie of Schalke. You could go for him. As I said, I just don't know about the new boys' defenses of the promoted teams. How's it, Dylan? Nice to see you in here. Best differential so far. That's a tough one. It depends what you kind of consider differential, because right now I don't think players are differential, because as I said, we're going to have to wait till the other 4 million players join and then we can kind of assess it. Will Mendy start for City? It's tough to say. I know that he's kind of trying to get back to full fitness, so we could see him starting again. Barkley, I wouldn't go for Barkley. Maybe Loftus-Cheek. I think that Loftus-Cheek's a better FPL option than Barkley, in my opinion. Okay, Bradley, you think Emi Buendia is a good shout? Hopefully I pronounced that right. In your opinion, is having Salah and Sterling essential? It's tough to say because I don't know if... as I said, I think that if Mane was back, I don't think Salah's essential if you can go for Mane. But I think you have to kind of have these two players, as I think they are the best players. Oh, okay, Bill Phillips says Loftus-Cheek's injured, so then you probably could go for Barkley. But if Loftus-Cheek was back fit, I would go for him. How's it, Papa Smurf? I think that's Sasha, but I just want to say maybe you want your alias to be Papa Smurf. So how's it? Coleman or Digne? If you had to, I would go for Digne, but Coleman if you need to get budget. I don't think there's too much in it, to be honest. Mario's said Hudson-Odoi is a great choice. But I think he might be a great choice, but he comes in a little bit expensive, so that's good. Okay, congratulations on your anniversary dinner then, Papa Smurf. Hope it was a good one. And as I said, congratulations. Did everyone forget how good Tillemans was last season? I'm certainly remembering it. But I just think that the sample size was a little bit small. So if you look at a player like Maddison, he could offer you better returns over the whole season. What's the best defender? 4.5 mil. I would look at someone like Taylor. I know that he might have had a slight knock, but you probably could go for him. I don't know, Salah, should I get him? If you have a team and you are completely happy with it, I would stick with it, because I think if you're gonna be ripping up your entire team just to fit one player in, you probably aren't gonna. It's probably not gonna be that much of a fun time. Okay, so Norwegian View says that Maguire is going to Man United medical now, so maybe there's been some news since I have been streaming. Yes, I do think Leicester's fixtures, they do have some tough fixtures at the beginning, but I think they're going to have a great season. Yeah, Mane might miss the first games, but the thing is we have the Community Shield to check up on who's starting, so we don't have to stress too much about if Mane or Salah are going to be starting. But I think it's better maybe to start now with your drafts with Salah as a preparation if Mane does miss out. Who do you expect will be a hidden gem this season? It's a tough one. It is a tough one because there's not many cheap players that I'm considering. I think that Coleman could have a good season, in my opinion. So I'll probably go for him. But I might do a predictions video on who I think are going to be the best choices. Dwight McNeil tempting? Yes, I think he is tempting. He had a good end to the season last season, if I recall. I think that we're going to have to see if Mendy is not starting, because he could have an amazing rehab and return to full fitness and then come straight into the squad. So we just have to kind of give it a little bit of time on that one. Okay, yes, Richarlison does usually start quite hot, so you could have him in, and that's the thing that's nice about having Sigurdsson or Richarlison, is you can easily swap and switch them in and out. Yeah, Martin, that's simply why I was kind of going for Coleman as well, is that he did have some great stats towards the end of the season. Do you think it is risky downgrading to Walker? I don't think it's that risky, to be honest. Do you think De Bruyne over Sterling for a better all-round team? It's a tough one because I think that Sterling is probably going to offer you better attacking returns, but he is quite a bit more expensive. So, how's it, Kieran? How are you doing? Okay, opinions. I just don't trust the Bournemouth defense. Neil's just listing when the transfer window ends there for us. Ends on the 8th of August, which I think is before the start of the Game Week 1 deadline, so which is quite nice. How many games will you double up with Wilson and King for? Well, let's just maybe take a look at their fixtures. I probably would kind of look maybe towards Game Week 13. I spoke about maybe using the wild card towards Game Week 14, as Everton's fixtures kind of get tough then as well. So now that I look at it, that actually looks like quite a nice point of view to use it around Game Week 13. Pulisic and Bernardo. I think Bernardo is a little bit more proven in this Premier League that we know, so you could probably opt for him. Pulisic is a wait and see for me. Coutinho, may he come back? I think that's just the agent rumor kind of being put on there so that maybe he gets signed again. I can't see Liverpool spending a lot of money to re-sign him. Is a 5-4-1 or 4-5-1 really too risky? I always up coming back to it because these teams always look best. I honestly think that if you want to go for it, then you should just go for it. Like, I don't think it's that risky in my opinion. The big talking point is the whole 7 million defender over basically the 7 million midfielder. So you could probably go for that. Matthew Hughes says Love Island in 7 minutes. So I actually think that that's probably going to be a good time to stop the stream. Is in about 7 minutes time. So I'll just be answering the last couple of questions, and then I will let all you beautiful people go and enjoy your evenings, if it means enjoying Love Island like Matthew, or just simply going back and watching some of the highlights of the great sporting events we've seen, not only today, but this weekend. So why Walker, not Laporte? He's just a little bit cheaper, and he sometimes plays a little bit of a fullback position. No worries, Papa Smurf. It's a pleasure. Thanks a lot. Great to see you streaming. Good luck with that. Okay, you're avoiding all injury-prone players. That's a good strategy to go for, especially if you want to be really safe and opt for that. Do I ever sports bet? I did, but I had a bad experience with sports betting once, where I should have won a lot of money, but then someone scored an own goal, so I stopped playing after that. I might tell you guys that story in the future. It's quite a funny story. Not funny then, but funny now. Shame, Matthew, it's quite early. I'm also have uni tomorrow, so I'm also going to have to get an early start. Martin, Dayvy, what are your views on Boerewors? Lekker. Thanks, Carl. I appreciate it. Rakesh, I honestly don't know if there are League players coming to the Premier League. We might have some, but I don't really know. Thanks, Felix. Cheers, Matthew. Enjoy your show, buddy. Robbie, I don't know if I would opt for Angie. Angelino right now. I would kind of wait to see how he fits into that squad and if he even starts. Okay, Alan, he says Man United have agreed the fee for Maguire at 80 million. Cheers, Naz. Thanks for watching. And thanks for the donation. I really appreciate it, Naz. You also start uni. Unfortunately, it's the life of a student. But I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot of FPL content throughout this university season. So hopefully that will keep us going. Peter, I only have 2 City and Liverpool players, mainly just because they're quite expensive. So Kieran, I've opted for the double Everton defense. It comes in a little bit cheaper than the double Liverpool defense, and I just favour the Everton fixtures a lot. Thanks, David Grant. I appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. Okay, so he'll probably sign then about Monday or Tuesday, so tomorrow. So that's quite good. Robbie, I would probably go for Zaha and Madison. Or if you can squeeze a 0.5, I would probably go for Tillemans and try and get Sigurdsson. Okay, Jason, make your team, but don't worry, there's still about a month till the start. James, probably closer towards the start of the Game Week 1 deadline. I'm going to be doing more draft videos, but these are going to be kind of focused more on specific players. So I probably will be doing a Kane draft and that kind of stuff, or maybe a 5 at the back. So, how's it, Rio? Is that, I think that's how you pronounce your name. How are you doing? Is it worth downgrading someone like Digne to Coleman? I don't think Digne to Coleman's a bad move, but I don't think you have to get a better goalie than Ryan, in my opinion. No worries, Rakesh. I'm sure we're all going to have a great start to the season and we're going to win tons of mini leagues. What do I think about VAR this season? It's just, I think we're going to have to look at the impact it has and then kind of assess it. I think that there's probably going to be more yellow cards for diving, in my opinion, but I don't know if there are going to be that many more penalties. I see you in the Liverpool fan league. No, Allison, I just don't really favour the expensive keepers right now. And why do you prefer Sigurdsson over Vardy? He's a little bit cheaper, but I could end up with Vardy in my team. I just think that Maddison's also quite a good option. Cheers, Jason. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy your night. Delafeu or Wilson? I'd go for Wilson. Thanks for the stream, David. Have a great night. You have a great night too. Thanks for tuning in. Thoughts on Kane? I think he's a good option, but for me it's a wait and see as he has that Man City game in Game Week 2. Do you think Liverpool will break 90 points this season? It's kind of a tough one to say. I don't really know how it's going to go this season. I think that Liverpool and Man City will dominate. I'm kind of favouring Man City a little bit for the Premier League this season again. So, thanks, Saint and George. Hope you guys have a good night. Seb, the diving will stop immediately. Hopefully it does. I do think that there's going to be a lot more penalties for kind of pushing in the box and that kind of stuff on corners. No worries, Kieran. Thanks. I appreciate the kind words. And hopefully this year we can beat your more experienced friends. What would be your 2 up front? If I had to choose anyone, it would probably be Kane and Vardy, but that could also be Vardy and Wilson. I just have a King because he's a lot cheaper. Thoughts on Calvert-Lewin? I think that he could be a good option, but I just don't think he's that great of an FPL option. I think that he's probably going to have to score quite a few more goals for me to be interested in him. As a Liverpool fan, are you a bit worried that there doesn't seem to be any major signings? City are still making more big signings, but City will always make more big signings because they've got tons of cash. I think that Liverpool are probably going to be waiting for like AFCON to finish. I know that they want to maybe sign that Pepe, but that could all be false. But hopefully we make a couple signings. I really want to sign a left back to kind of back up for Robertson. I've got Pope, Coleman, Laporte, Dunk, TAA, VDV. Sterling, Salah, Sigurdsson, Fraser, Wilson. Looks good. Looks good, Papa Smith. Bernardo or Richarlison. How would you structure a 4-man midfield if I have Kane and Wilson? That's the thing, is I'm going to have to kind of do that draft and then look at it. Thanks, Alan. I'm glad you enjoyed it. His thoughts on Long, mate. It's a little bit of a tough one for me. I don't really know if I'd back him that much, but he could come in as a cheap option if you really need him. Do you think Richarlison will miss out on the opening fixtures? Matt, he might miss out on preseason, but I think he will be back for the opening fixtures. But yeah, I'm going to end the stream there as the clock strikes 10 p.m. here in South Africa. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. We basically have been talking for about 2 hours. So if you missed parts of it, you can probably catch it up on the replay. It should upload to YouTube shortly. Neil says they missed it. Watch the rerun. Yeah, I just said that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. And I'm hoping to catch up with you guys in another live stream shortly. And videos will probably be up this week. So, as I usually do, I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.